You look at the world around you, at the numbers on your screen, at the bills on your desk, and you think you are waiting for money to come so that you can finally feel secure. I tell you that you have it completely backwards, and this single misunderstanding is the very thing keeping you in chains. True readiness to receive wealth is never about preparing your physical bank account, nor is it about rearranging the pieces of your outer life. It is a profound, total shift of your inner awareness. You must recognize, with absolute certainty, that the treasure you are seeking is already fully present within you right now. You do not acquire wealth, you awaken to it. Every ounce of financial abundance you could ever desire already exists in the vastness of your own consciousness, waiting for you to simply acknowledge its presence. Let me show you what I mean by this. When you ask yourself if you are ready to receive, you usually mean you are ready for the external world to change so that you can change how you feel. But the physical world is nothing more than a giant mirror, a shadow that merely reflects the state of being you are occupying. If you are constantly looking outward, begging for a change, you are actually affirming that you do not have what you want. You are broadcasting a state of lack, and the mirror of reality has no choice but to reflect that lack right back at you. I have seen so many people spend years working themselves to the bone, trying every strategy under the sun, yet their financial situation never truly transforms, because they never change the man inside. They are trying to change the reflection, without changing the face looking into the glass. You must understand that consciousness is the only reality. There is nothing outside of it. The moment you stop looking at the world as something separate from you, that you must fight or conquer, everything changes. The feeling of wealth is a frequency, a state of mind, a deeply held conviction that you are already provided for. It is the quiet inner, knowing that the supply is infinite, and that you are personally connected to the source of it all. When you finally turn your attention away from the apparent shortages of the world and look inward, you begin to see that you have always been wealthy. You begin to feel the fullness that was always there, just beneath the surface of your doubts. This is what it means to be truly ready. It means you no longer require a single dollar in your hand to feel the absolute security of financial abundance. You claim it first within the sacred walls of your own mind, and when you do, the outer world has no choice but to conform to your inner command. Wealth is not something you actively create or chase down in the outer world. It is an existing state of consciousness that you must mentally occupy until it feels entirely natural to you. I tell you that you do not need to construct abundance from scratch, nor do you need to figure out the thousands of moving parts required to bring it into your experience. The state of wealth already exists. Every conceivable condition of life, from the deepest poverty to the most unimaginable riches, is a pre-existing state in the grand fabric of reality. These states are stationary, like rooms in a magnificent mansion. You do not build the room, you simply walk into it. You choose which room you will inhabit by the virtue of where you place your awareness. If you spend your days dwelling on the thought of how difficult it is to make ends meet, you are simply sitting in the room of lack. The moment you decide to move your awareness, you walk into a completely different reality. Let me show you how this operates in your daily life. You see someone who seems to attract money effortlessly, someone for whom doors open automatically, and you think they possess a special talent or a secret piece of luck. But I have seen time and again that the only difference between that individual and the one who struggles is the nature of the inner state they occupy. The wealthy person does not think about how to become wealthy. They think from the established position of being wealthy. It is their home base. It is the natural atmosphere of their mind. When they look at the world, they see opportunity and abundance, because that is what their internal state filters into their view. To them, financial flow is as natural as breathing air. They do not fight for it, because you never fight for something you believe you already possess. You must understand that you cannot stay in an old state of consciousness and expect a new world to appear. You cannot continue to view yourself as a person who is trying to get money, because the state of trying to get implies that you do not have it. As long as you occupy the state of the seeker, you will forever remain seeking. You must make the bold psychological leap from wanting wealth to being wealth. You must occupy the state of financial ease so thoroughly that it becomes the very fabric of your mind. When you mentally dwell in that state, it ceases to feel like a distant dream or a temporary emotional high. It becomes your natural environment. It feels normal. It feels ordinary. It feels exactly like who you are. Think of it this way. When you put on a brand new suit of clothes, it might feel a bit stiff at first. You are highly aware of it. You notice how the fabric moves, and you might feel a bit self-conscious walking down the street. But if you wear that suit day after day, a wonderful thing happens. It begins to mold to your form. You forget you are even wearing it. It becomes entirely natural, an extension of your very self. It is precisely the same with the state of wealth consciousness. When you first claim that you are financially secure, your logical mind might object. It will tell you that you are foolish, that your bank account says otherwise, and that you are living in a fantasy. But if you persist in mentally living from that state of abundance, if you return to it every time your mind wanders, the stiffness begins to fade. The idea of having unlimited money ceases to shock or startle you. It softens into a quiet, comfortable reality within your mind. Let us be completely clear about this. You do not get what you want in this life. You only ever get what you are. The world has no power to give you anything that you have not first given to yourself in consciousness. Therefore, stop looking at the economy, stop looking at your job, and stop looking at your past failures as if they have any power to dictate your future. They are completely powerless. They are only the dead echoes of the states you used to occupy. Your only task is to look inward right now and ask yourself what it would feel like if you were already the person you desire to be. What would your thoughts look like? How would you walk down the street? How would you look at a price tag? Occupy that exact state of mind. Bathe in it, live in it, and make it your psychological home. When the state of wealth becomes so entirely natural to you that any other condition seems impossible, you will find that the outer world will move heaven and earth to match your internal state. You must boldly stop looking at your current financial limitations and completely withdraw your attention from the evidence of your physical senses. Because whatever you focus on, you feed. I tell you that the greatest enemy to your financial freedom is not a bad economy, a lack of education, or a shortage of opportunities. The greatest enemy is your own habit of staring at things as they are and accepting them as reality. Your physical senses are liars when it comes to the truth of who you are. They can only report on the past. The numbers in your bank account today, the bills piling up on your table, the debts you owe, these are not living things. They are the dead, crystallized shadows of your past states of consciousness. Yet, what do? You look at these shadows, you react to them, you worry over them, and by doing so, you breathe fresh life into them. You continue to perpetuate the very lack you are praying to escape. Let me show you the absolute necessity of this radical withdrawal. I have seen well-meaning individuals spend hours visualizing wealth, only to open their eyes, look at their empty wallet, and sigh in despair. In that single second of reaction, they wipe out all the inner work they just performed. They allowed the physical world to dictate their internal state. You must understand that you cannot serve two masters. You cannot look at a world of poverty and expect to experience a life of riches. You must practice a deliberate, disciplined form of psychological blindness. When you look at your current financial limitations, you must learn to look right through them. You must see them as nothing more than a passing cloud in a sky that is inherently vast and clear. You must tell yourself, with absolute authority, that what your eyes are seeing is only what was, not what is, and certainly not what must be. This is the ultimate challenge because it requires a profound level of faith. It requires you to trust what you cannot see over what you can see. The world will call you foolish. Your friends, your family, and your own logical brain will scream at you that you are being irresponsible, that you must face facts, and that you must deal with reality. But I ask you, whose reality are you facing? If you face the reality of limitation, you become its slave. You must have the courage to say to the evidence of your senses, none of these things move me. You must actively starve the state of poverty by refusing to give it the fuel of your attention. Attention is the life-giving water of the universe. Whatever you give your attention to will grow, flourish, and multiply in your world. If you spend your evening hours recalculating your debts, talking with your friends about how expensive life has become, or worrying about how you will make it through the next month, you are actively watering the weeds of lack. You are ensuring that tomorrow will look exactly like today. Let us look at how you can practically execute this withdrawal of attention. It begins with your immediate reaction to financial pressure. When a bill arrives or an unexpected expense lands in your lap, your natural instinct is to contract. You feel a tightening in your chest, a sense of panic, or a wave of resentment. That reaction is the exact moment you are giving away your power. You are validating the limitation. Instead, the moment that pressure arises, you must catch yourself. You must take a deep breath and remind yourself that your supply does not come from external sources. It does not come from your employer, your clients, or the government. Your supply comes from the infinite well of your own consciousness. Therefore, you do not need to fear the physical shadow. You can look at the bill and feel a sense of peace, knowing that the means to take care of it already exist within you. You withdraw your emotional charge from the problem, and by removing the emotion, you cut the lifeline to the limitation. I want you to try an experiment the next time you find yourself facing a financial restriction. When you feel the urge to say, "I cannot afford that," or "money is so tight right now," stop the words right at the tip of your tongue. Silence them completely. To speak of lack is to anchor yourself to it. Instead of acknowledging the restriction, mentally turn your back on it. Close your physical eyes if you must, and look inward. Remember that you are the creator of your experience, and that the physical scene before you is completely malleable. It is like clay that has hardened into an ugly shape. You do not fight the hardened clay. You simply moisten it with your imagination and reshape it into a vessel of beauty. You do this by deliberately placing your attention on the concept of abundance, even when there is not a single shred of evidence in your room to support it. You must understand that this is not about pretending or living in a state of dangerous denial in the physical world. You still pay your bills, and you still walk through your daily life responsibly. But inside, in the secret place of your own mind, you remain completely unswayed by what is happening outside. You maintain an inner sanctuary where you are the absolute ruler, and in that sanctuary, you are fabulously wealthy. You do not let the dirt of the outer world track into the clean room of your imagination. You keep your inner vision fixed entirely on the ideal. If you can maintain this discipline, if you can look at the apparent emptiness of your financial life and confidently claim the fullness of your true identity, a marvelous thing will happen. The limitations that seemed so solid, so permanent, and so real will begin to dissolve. They will break apart and vanish from your life, because they no longer have your attention to sustain them. And in their place, the wealth you have faithfully focused on will begin to rush into your experience. By changing your inner conversations and using your imagination right before sleep, you deliberately plant the seed of financial abundance directly into your subconscious mind. I tell you that the most precious, most powerful moment of your entire day is that brief, hazy twilight zone just as you are drifting off into the deep waters of sleep. Most people completely waste this sacred window. They lie in the dark, and they allow their minds to replay the anxieties of the day. They worry about tomorrow's bills. They replay arguments with their employers, or they stew in the quiet panic of their financial burdens. They do not realize that whatever state of mind they hold as they cross the threshold into sleep is the exact state they are handing over to the subconscious. The subconscious mind does not judge, it does not argue, and it never takes a joke. It takes your last waking impression as an absolute command, and it spends the night weaving that impression into the fabric of your physical reality. Let me show you how to master this nightly ritual, for it is the easiest and most certain way to manifest money into your world. When you lie down to sleep, your physical body becomes relaxed, and your conscious mind begins to step back. This is the moment your imagination becomes highly active and incredibly fertile. Do not waste this time with long, complicated visualizations or frantic mental effort. Effort has absolutely no place here. Instead, you must design a simple, short phrase or a brief, imaginary scene that implies you have already attained the financial abundance you desire. It must be a scene that takes place after your wish has been fulfilled. You do not imagine the money arriving. You do not imagine winning a prize or receiving a paycheck, for those things imply you do not have it yet. You must imagine a scene that could only happen if you were already a fabulously wealthy individual. Perhaps your scene is as simple as sitting in an incredibly comfortable armchair, holding a document that shows your financial freedom, and turning to someone you love to say, "I still cannot quite believe how effortlessly it all came. It feels like a beautiful dream." Or perhaps your scene involves the simple action of looking at a statement that reads completely clear of all debt, feeling a profound sense of relief wash over your chest. Whatever scene you choose, it must be short, no more than a few seconds long, so that you can easily loop it over and over again without your mind wandering off into other thoughts. As you lie still in the dark, bring this scene into your mind. See it as clearly as you can, but do not strain your eyes. More importantly, feel the reality of it. Touch the arms of the chair in your imagination. Hear the exact tone of voice of the person listening to you. As you repeat this brief loop, a wonderful thing will begin to happen. The imaginary scene will begin to take on the sensory vividness of a real physical event. It will start to feel like something that is actually happening to you right then and there. You must persist in this looping action until the very feeling of financial ease saturates your mind, and you drift off to sleep while still holding that impression. By doing this, you are effectively bypassing all the doubts, the fears, and the logical objections of your waking mind. You are planting the seed of unlimited money directly into the deep, fertile soil of the subconscious. When you wake up the next morning, you might not see an immediate change in your room, but I assure you, the seed has been set. The subconscious mind has accepted the blueprint, and it will begin to move heaven and earth to bring it to pass. Alongside this nightly practice, you must become hyper, aware of your inner conversations during the day. Your inner conversations are the silent dialogues you hold with yourself all day long, the background chatter that runs while you are walking down the street, driving your car, or working at your desk. I have seen people perform their imaginal acts at night, only to spend the next 12 hours of daylight arguing mentally with people who owe them money, complaining in their thoughts about prices, or whispering words of lack to themselves. This internal chatter is nothing less than a continuous, subconscious prayer, and it will completely neutralize your nightly work if you let it run wild. You cannot talk lack all day and expect to harvest wealth at night. You must take absolute control of this inner talking. Your mental speech must match your fulfilled desire. If you are mentally a wealthy person, your inner conversations must reflect that exact identity. When you look at an expensive item, instead of thinking, "That is far too expensive for me," your inner voice must say, "That is beautiful, and I could easily have it if I chose to." When you think about your future, your internal dialogue must be filled with anticipation, ease, and a sense of absolute security. If you catch your mind slipping back into the old, familiar track of financial worry, you must instantly arrest that thought. Do not fight it or beat yourself up over it. Simply change the conversation. Turn the internal wheel back toward abundance. Speak to yourself within the quiet sanctuary of your mind with the authority of someone who already possesses unlimited money. Understand that these two tools, the sleep technique and the discipline of your inner conversations, are not mere mental tricks. They are the exact mechanisms by which reality is cast. You are transforming your entire psychological makeup. You are clearing out the old, stubborn weeds of poverty consciousness and replacing them with the golden seeds of wealth consciousness. It requires a gentle, steady persistence. It requires you to be the vigilant gatekeeper of your mind, refusing to let any thought of lack slip past your watch. If you will faithfully practice this, if you will make it your business to fall asleep every single night in the glorious feeling of financial abundance, and keep your inner speech aligned with that feeling throughout the day, you will find that the subconscious mind will work its magnificent, quiet miracles. It will orchestrate a perfect sequence of events in the physical world to ensure that the wealth you have imagined becomes your living, breathing reality. The true secret lies in assuming the relief, gratitude, and ease of already possessing unlimited money, letting that profound feeling saturate your entire being until all lack dissolves. I tell you that the word feeling is the most misunderstood word in the entire realm of mind power. When I speak of feeling, I do not mean a wild, temporary burst of excitement or an intense emotional high that leaves you exhausted an hour later. High emotions are unstable. They peak and then they drop, often leaving you right back where you started. The feeling I am urging you to capture is a deep, quiet, unshakable mood. It is the steady, comfortable atmosphere of your soul. It is the profound sense of relief that washes over a person when a long, agonizing problem has finally been resolved for good. It is the quiet gratitude you feel when you know you are completely safe, protected, and abundantly provided for. Let me show you how to find this feeling within yourself, for without it, all your visualizations and affirmations are completely dead. I have seen countless individuals repeat the words, "I am wealthy," thousands of times a day, yet their lives remain entirely unchanged. Why? Because while their lips are saying wealth, their hearts are screaming poverty. They are speaking from a place of desperate wanting. And it is the feeling of that wanting, the underlying panic of not having enough, that the subconscious mind actually hears and reproduces. You must understand that the subconscious does not respond to words. It responds exclusively to your deeply felt assumptions. Therefore, you must learn to feel the reality of your wealth before you see a single dollar in your outer world. You must wear the mood of financial abundance so completely that it becomes your second nature. Imagine, if you will, that you have just received news that a massive, unexpected fortune has been legally transferred into your name. All your debts have been entirely paid off, your future is completely secure, and you never have to spend another second of your life worrying about how to pay for your needs or your desires. Take a moment to deeply consider what that actually feels like. Notice that the first thing that leaves your body is that subtle, chronic tightness in your chest, the quiet, background anxiety that has followed you around for years. That tightness completely vanishes, replaced by a massive, beautiful wave of relief. You take a deep, full breath, perhaps for the first time in your life. Your shoulders drop. A quiet smile touches your lips. There is no frantic shouting or wild leaping into the air. Instead, there is a profound, beautiful stillness. There is an overarching sense of absolute ease. This is the exact feeling you must assume, right now, in the face of whatever your current financial reality happens to be. You do not wait for the money to arrive to experience this relief. You assume the relief first, and it is that very relief that commands the money to appear. I tell you that you must let this feeling thoroughly saturate your entire being. When you walk down the street, you must walk with the posture of a person whose bank account is overflowing. When you sit at your desk, you must sit with the inner composure of someone who does not need to please anyone for financial survival. When you lay your head on your pillow, you must drape this mood of ease over your mind like a warm, luxurious blanket. You must live, move, and have your being in this atmosphere of financial security until it completely crowds out every old, lingering memory of lack. Let us understand the absolute magic of gratitude within this process. True gratitude is the ultimate declaration of fulfillment. You never genuinely thank someone for a gift until that gift is actually in your possession. Therefore, when you look inward and fill your heart with a warm, quiet sense of thankfulness for your unlimited wealth, you are boldly telling your subconscious mind that the wealth is already a done deal. You are bypassing the entire concept of time and distance. You are not begging the universe to give you money in the future. You are thanking the source of all life for the abundance that is already yours right now. This gratitude dissolves the very frequency of lack. Poverty and gratitude cannot exist in the same mind at the same time. They are completely incompatible forces. The moment you genuinely feel grateful for your financial freedom, the illusion of shortage completely shatters and falls away. I want you to understand that this feeling must become so deeply embedded within you that it becomes your automatic reaction to life. If someone mentions the rising cost of living, your inner feeling does not contract into fear. Instead, you quietly smile to yourself, securely anchored in the feeling of your own infinite supply. If an unexpected expense shows up, you do not meet it with anger or panic. You meet it with the ease of a person who has more than enough to handle any situation that could ever arise. You become entirely unshakable. You are no longer at the mercy of outer conditions because you have found the ultimate anchor within your own consciousness. This is what it truly means to feel it real. It means that your inner conviction of wealth has become so incredibly vivid, so stable, and so tangible that the physical world feels like the shadow and your imagination feels like the solid reality. When you reach this state of inner saturation, the work is completely done. You do not need to struggle, you do not need to strain, and you do not need to force anything to happen. The profound feeling of wealth has entered the deepest chambers of your subconscious mind, and once it is accepted there, it becomes an absolute law of nature. It must manifest. All lack must dissolve from your life, and the unlimited money you have so beautifully assumed will begin to flow into your experience with the absolute certainty of the rising sun. Once you firmly embody this new identity, you can completely rest in the absolute certainty that the physical world must and will rearrange itself to reflect your inner reality. I tell you that the final and most magnificent stage of this inner transformation is the entry into what can only be described as the Sabbath, the state of total, unshakable psychological rest. Most people spend their lives in a continuous state of spiritual friction, always trying to help the universe manifest their desires, always checking their watches, and always wondering when and how the money will finally arrive. They do not realize that this very anxiety, this constant looking for signs, is a confession that they do not believe they have it yet. When you truly know a thing is yours, you do not look for it. You do not worry about it. You simply rest in the absolute conviction of its existence. Let me show you what it means to live from this place of supreme authority. I have seen individuals who, after weeks of faithful imaginal work, suddenly become frantic because their outer world hasn't shifted instantly. They begin to doubt, they begin to question their techniques, and they scramble to fix things through desperate physical action. They are like a foolish gardener who plants a precious seed in the morning and then spends the rest of the day digging it up every 20 minutes to see if it has grown roots yet. All they accomplish by this frantic meddling is the destruction of the seed. You must understand that once you have planted the blueprint of wealth into your subconscious mind through the depth of your feeling, the work on your part is completely finished. The spiritual pregnancy has begun, and it has its own appointed hour for birth. You must have the immense courage to let go of the how and the when. The physical world does not belong to you to manipulate. It belongs to the deeper self within you, which possesses ways and means that your logical, reasoning mind could never even begin to comprehend. I tell you that the methods by which your wealth will arrive are entirely beyond your human calculation. It may come through a sudden promotion, a brilliant idea that strikes you out of nowhere, an unexpected inheritance, a chance meeting with a stranger, or a sudden shift in the market that perfectly favors your position. This sequence of events is what I call the bridge of incidents, a perfectly orchestrated, natural series of steps that will lead you directly to the physical possession of your wealth. To your conscious mind, it will look like a series of beautiful coincidences, but in truth, it is the mathematically precise projection of your inner consciousness. Your only responsibility during this period is to remain completely immovable in your new identity. When you walk out into the world and look at your bank account, and it still reflects the old numbers, you must look at it with a quiet, knowing smile. You do not panic, because you know that those numbers are just the dead echoes of who you used to be. You tell yourself, that is only the shadow, the substance is already fixed within me. You occupy your mind so thoroughly with the identity of a wealthy person that the physical delays no longer have the power to disturb your peace. You do not check the mail every day with a sense of desperate longing. You walk to the mailbox with the casual ease of someone who already knows that everything they need is completely taken care of. This is the true meaning of faith. It is not a blind, desperate hope that things will get better. It is the absolute certainty in the reality of the unseen. Let us be entirely clear about this. The physical universe is completely mechanical. It has no mind of its own, no power to resist, and no ability to say no to your deeply held assumptions. It is a faithful, obedient servant that must project whatever image you hold before it. Therefore, when you firmly establish the feeling of financial abundance within the laboratory of your mind, the outer world has absolutely no choice but to bend to your consciousness. People will suddenly feel compelled to help you without knowing why. Opportunities will seek you out from across the world, and doors that were locked tight for generations will fly open before you. You do not need to force these doors open through brutal, exhausting physical labor. Your internal state will draw them to you with the effortless magnetism of a magnet pulling iron filings. I want you to experience the immense freedom that comes with this understanding. You can finally stop fighting. You can stop striving, stop begging, and stop living in that chronic state of survival that has drained your vital energy for so long. You can step off the wheel of struggle and step onto the solid rock of absolute assurance. When you lay down to sleep tonight, let your final thought be one of absolute triumph. Let yourself sink into the quiet satisfaction that the decree has gone forth, the mold has been cast, and the wealth you have claimed is already rushing toward you on the wings of the wind. You have moved from the state of wanting to the state of being, and in that supreme realization you can completely rest. The world is yours, the fullness thereof is yours, and nothing in heaven or on earth can possibly stop your inner reality from becoming your physical truth.